Hey, wine mermaids. This is the Peace, Love, and Wine podcast, bringing you happy hour conversations with awesome women on self-care, sisterhood, and creative living to reduce stress and maximize joy. Life is short, so grab a glass and get ready to sip, sparkle, and make a splash. Make sure to visit peaceloveandwine.com and enter your email to receive VIP deals and get your free self-care download. Now, here's your wine sister hostess with the mostest, Tiffany Humfeld.
Hello, I'm Tiffany with the virtual happy hour retreat series by Peace, Love, and Wine. And this is called Creative Women, Wine, and Wisdom, How to De-Stress, Cultivate Creativity, and Embrace Sisterhood over a glass of wine. Cheers! And my guest tonight is Cristen Downs, who is elected not to drink wine, which is totally fine. But Cristen, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking whiskey and lemonade.
How is that?
It's delicious. It's delicious. So I'm in New York City. It's the second day that it has not been freezing, dark, and terrible. And so lemonade is a delight when it is warm in New York City. And a little whiskey, it's an end-of-day beverage.
And it will definitely warm you up, too, if it does, turn cold on you all of a sudden or something.
It's true. So I'm a fan.
So I don't even remember exactly how we met. I think I heard you on a different podcast, and then I found your podcast or something like that. So anyway, let's hear your background. I know we have a little bit of things in common with theater, but how did you get to where you are today, etc.?
Well, lovely, lovely questions. And we did meet through my very, very, very first podcast interview on someone else's show, which was Suzanne Proxas.
Oh, yes. Okay. Hi, Suzanne.
Yeah, I love her. She's so fabulous. And so I am a theater professional by training. I went to grad school at UC Irvine, got my MFA in drama.
Go Anteaters.
Yes, zot is what we would say. Totally love me some anteaters. One of the most interesting mascots of any school I've ever encountered. Oh. And I went, finished that degree, worked all over the country as a freelance theater professional. Stage management is my thing, but I've also done production management, event management, and eventually my husband, who is an actor, got an agent in New York City. So we came here, and we had this idea that maybe someday, we'd have a tiny human and have a little more money. And so I transitioned into the 9-to-5 life, and I worked at Riverside Theater, Riverside Church, which is in Morningside Heights, Harlem area, if you're familiar with New York City. And then from there, I worked at the Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute. Now I'm at University. And then my passion project, my love, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what I'm actually good at and had not. It was really difficult because you do lots of different things, but you don't necessarily understand what is it about you that you bring to the table that makes you unique. And so I kept always coming back to this idea, so first I love women. I went to
Girl power.
Yes.
Cheers.
I'm always an early drinker. But, I love women. I went to women's college. I love women's issues. I feel like women having a seat at the table is a really, really, really big deal. And having a tiny human and having to go back to work at 6 weeks because there aren't really maternity leave policies in this country that I live in the United States, and also that, pardon me, Bronte. There aren't really facilities for the things that you have to do as a new mom. And that's because men, unfortunately, make a lot of these decisions. I remember one of the first time I was at a place at work that had an actual pumping room. I was so excited. I was like, it's a pumping room. It's going to be real and fabulous. It was a bathroom that got converted. It had no heat or AC. The spots for us that we were supposed to pump at. Now you're you just had a baby. You're not back to your, quote unquote normal size or whatever yet. you have to go pump. And they had those little tiny college desks.
Oh.
You can't have cups on your boobs and sit at a little college desk. Like, it's not possible. So you're already like a little concerned about, that you're not back to your pre-pregnancy weight, and you're trying to fit in a college desk with cups on. Like, I was just like, who makes these decisions? Like,
Man.
That stuff just like, it gets me every time. So definitely women, huge focus of mine. I love women's issues. And then I also, just in general as a person, am the kind of person that gets people like excited about stuff. So I get excited about stuff. Yeah, like I like to dance. I like to sing. I'm always moving around. Terrible on camera, I'm sure. But I get really excited about things, and then I want everyone else to know about whatever it is that I love. And then the other thing is, because my life has been sort of weird, I know people everywhere of every kind of person, type of person. And so sometimes people come up to me and say, like, a children's book author? I'm like, oh, yeah, totally. What do you need? Or whatever. And that happens all the time because of having sort of a weird life. So the idea for the Notable Woman podcast, which is my jam, combines all of those things together. So I love women. I love talking about women, women's stories, why they're interesting. I love other people excited about the women that I love. And then I also love, making those connections. So when someone tells me, oh, I have this thing going on, or I need this kind of help, I say, oh, well, have you met so-and-so yet? Or you two need to meet, because this would be perfect, and blah, blah, blah.
I think you have twin superpowers, because that's definitely one of my superpowers.
So that's why sort of the Notable Woman podcast came into being. And I just launched this past September. So not even a year yet. It's been so much fun. I get to meet so many people and talk to so many interesting people. And I love talking, in case you can't tell. So it's just perfect for me, and I enjoy it so much. So that's a little bit about sort of how I evolved into where I am.
That's great. So are you still actually, can you check your tabs on your computer? We're recording this via video, and you're doing frozen face sometimes. So I want to make sure that we're not using up too much bandwidth with other tabs. Did you shut them down?
I don't have the best Wi-Fi.
Okay. It could just be that. It could be the New York rats. They're chewing on the cables or something.
It's not raining. Usually when it's raining, it's really terrible. Let me see. I have... so you look great to me, so it must be me.
You're mostly good. It's just occasionally it cuts out, or I'll miss a word.
Let me see.
Let me pause us, and we'll be back in a moment. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program here. I don't even remember exactly what we were talking about, other than life is awesome and strange, and women are cool, also sometimes strange, and we love that about them. And you have a Notable Woman podcast, which allows you to celebrate these things.
Absolutely. And that's what we do. And I talk to women from all walks of life, of women who might be scientists, educators, women who are advocates, women who are doctors, and women who are entrepreneurs. We talk to all sorts of people about all sorts of stuff, women with chronic illness. Sometimes I also do some written interviews that are on the website as well as part of my blog. Interviewed a wonderful mother whose daughter has spina bifida. So really all sorts of stories you can find on the Notable Woman.
That's really cool. Are you still working full-time now as well?
I do work full-time as the boss of the continuing and professional education at PACE.
Oh, okay. And then you have another side hustle too, right?
Yes, I just recently started doing some PR work. So it's sort of a natural offshoot from the Notable Woman, because women are fabulous. I love to shine a light on them, and I love to make connections for them. So just recently have started doing some public relations work for women entrepreneurs and small business owners. Typically, they are introverts who don't really like talking about themselves or to other people. And so I can really help them out by saying, this person's awesome, and help get that visibility that they need so that their business can take off.
Cool. I like it. I think I'm a natural introvert. Maybe I'm an extroverted introvert, but I like hiding behind my computer sometimes. So this is all very interesting and exciting, even though I have a little bit of a theater background. I don't know. There's something about you being yourself that, not hiding behind a character that can be a little bit scary, but that's where I think you grow and where the opportunities can really come in. What are you looking forward to this year? For what great things have already happened this year?
That is an interesting question. So, great things that already happened. So I did an online summit called Super You, Let's Get Powered Up. And this all stemmed from the fact that a lot of women that I speak to say when I ask them, hey, I think you're great. I love what you're doing. I'd love to have you on the Notable Woman podcast. And they say, me? I am not notable. And it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy every time. I can't take it. And so I got to the point where I just could not hear one more woman tell me that she was not fabulous. And so the idea behind Super You was that it was 30 speakers in 10 days, all these wonderful women talking about how you can have power in all aspects of your life, your health, your finances, your fitness, being a mother, running a business, toxic relationships, everything you can possibly imagine. That's my dog, Bronte, by the way. Bronte, hello. Usually he's very polite during interviewing, but
maybe
not.
Just commenting on how fabulous he thinks the women are. Maybe that's what it is.
That could be it. Also, my husband and son are in California. Obviously, he doesn't know that, so he's just thinking that they're coming home. So anytime he hears someone, he says, that's my family. And it's not his family. They're not home for another week. But so that was awesome. Super You was awesome. I had a great time, and we've kept it going as a Facebook group where we have weekly speakers come in, and there'll be another 30-person event coming up in June. So I'm super excited about that. That's all been awesome. Podcast is going and going great. I love working on the Notable Woman. That's fabulous. And layering in this PR stuff has been super fun. I just did this month a Facebook group intensive, helping women work on their Facebook groups and get them to be engaged and more visible. I love that. That's been fun as well.
Was that a course that you put together and charged for, or how did that work?
So far, it is in beta.
Okay.
So it is still free at this point. So I have a group of 27 women who beta a boot camp and an intensive for me. And the feedback's been great, and it's been really fun. And then the next thing I'm going to beta is an online summit intensive as well.
Oh, okay. Well,
and then in September, I'm going to have another online summit for Women Power. It'll be a little more traditional than the one I did in Super You.
Cool. Well, you got a lot going on there. That's cool. Tell me about self-care and stress management. How do you do that with a small human, a larger human, and a job and other interests?
I love that question. So I was pretty much a zombie for the first year after my son was born. I found it very, very difficult with making food for a tiny human. I found it very hard. I found it difficult to function as a normal human being with no sleep. And, you start waking up in the middle of the night to pee in your second trimester, and then you kind of get so urged that nothing is possible towards the end of the third. And it's all prepping you for the no sleep that you will get for the whole year. So I previously would describe myself as a phoenix, where I burn really hot and then totally die. And that's worked for my professional life. Like I can, put together a really fabulous show like a crazy lunatic and then die for however long and then do it again. And that is how I've always functioned. But I can no longer function that way. So I really had to put together some sort of self-care practice to live. And so I really did a lot of work on this. So like one thing that's been huge for me is a morning routine. Mm-hmm. And so I took a lot of time to craft that, to see what would work for me. And so I do, so I do stretching, I do yoga flow, I do some Pilates to restore my pre-pregnancy belly, which I hope to one day see partially again. And then I do some meditation. And my meditation is usually just me asking myself a question and meditating on that question. And then I do some gratitude journaling, and I do some manifesting exercises. And when I do this, I am a nicer human being than without, absolutely. And I have it all figured out so that, I start the coffee first, and then I do my yoga flow, and then by the time that's done, the coffee is ready to go in the French press, and I can leave it, then come and do all my floor exercises that I do. And then I can be done with that, go back and get the coffee and sit down and do the gratitude journaling. So it all works out perfectly.
Oh,
it doesn't actually, but it's a difference between life and death.
I'm sorry, you cut off for a second. It all works out perfectly, but what?
It is the difference between life and death for other people. So,
because you might kill them if you don't get your routine in.
I might, because my patience is not there of all of the things, that happen. And so I desperately need that. And that's been a lifesaver. And I would say the second thing is that it's really easy as a person that has side projects, hustle, job, mom, wife, whatever, is to forget about things that you like to do. Mm-hmm. And so the two things is that I love to read fiction books. I love them so much. And the other is my friends. I need to make sure that I see my lady friends, because without that, I lose a part of myself. And so depending upon what's going on with my life, sometimes I get up early and meet them for breakfast. Sometimes they come over and see me here because I can't get out. And since my husband and son have been gone this past week, it's been nonstop. Everybody's like, can I take you to dinner? Can I take you to dinner? Can I take you out? So I feel like a little bit like a princess, but it's been delightful. And I think that those three things for me, the morning routine, the reading, and the seeing friends, have just been huge.
Awesome. I love that you, how long did it take you to make it? I like that you said you're very deliberate, it sounds like, in your attempts to figure out what would work for you and how to make it work. So if people are wanting to start that for themselves, how do you suggest they practice it?
My biggest tip for almost everything in life is that what works for you will not necessarily work for someone else. So you just have to start. So I love journaling. I love just kind of like grabbing my notebook and just la 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 la. And it really, really works for me. But a lot of people hate journaling, and that's okay. So maybe what you do is you talk into your voice recorder app on your phone. Maybe that works for you. That's totally fine. If that's what works, that's great. I do that for some of the things I like to do, and then I like to listen to whatever, if I'm trying to break a habit or something like that, I might record something that I then listen to as I walk around New York City. That I find really useful. But it all is based on you. Each person is unique. If you're having a hard time finding something, maybe try some of the things that I suggested that work for me, or ask someone else if what they do. Certainly gratitude journaling is, I think, one of the most amazing exercises that you can do to practice self-care. It really does help you recognize the awesome things that you already have in your life and help you invite more of that back into your life. But maybe journaling isn't the thing. Maybe you want to do a gratitude vision board. Maybe you want to do a gratitude audio. It really, really, really is what works for you. And my biggest thing is don't get overwhelmed. Just start. Just try something.
I like that. It's something I think especially perfectionists can have a challenge with, because it is easy to get overwhelmed. I'm finally trying to make things super small on purpose so that I can set myself up for success. So I'm calling it microtizing my life.
Nice.
So basically what that might look like is, okay, I really want my house to be in order, or I have a hard time keeping tidy. Of course I want everything to be perfect, but it's easy to get overwhelmed and just be like, okay, well, I can't do this, so I'm not going to do anything. So instead I'll say, okay, let me take the kitchen table and let me sort that out, right? And setting a timer too, like actually setting a timer and making it fun by dancing around, turning music on, singing to the cats, whatever it is. And then letting myself, like celebrating myself. Okay, I cleaned the whole table off. It's not the whole house, but I did a thing and I completed it. And so a lot of times that motivates you to do more. Or at least you have a little success you can celebrate. So that's how I've been working lately, because I do tend to get overwhelmed by the elephant. So I'm just not trying to do it all. I'm just saying, okay, what can I do to make it better? What can I do to make progress, not perfect, right?
Absolutely.
So that's been helpful to me. Are there any other steps or habits you want to implement in your self-care routine this year?
Definitely. I have not. I really do need to find a good cardio fit for myself. You know, I have, I love my morning routine, my yoga and my Pilates. That works really well for lots that I do. I do a lot of walking around New York City, and now the weather's nice. I try to walk down to the park every day, walk around the park at least once. And that's really, really great. And I also have a dog who has, introduced himself in our interview, and that helps, get me out every morning and every night, and then again before he goes to bed. So that's all really great. But I do not have a good cardio routine. I live in a New York City apartment. I try to not annoy my downstairs neighbors, and so I just have not really found a good cardio routine. I'm not going to join a gym because there's no possible way that I will go with any sort of consistency. I might as well just throw the money up in the air or give it to some nice person who needs it on the street. But
you know yourself.
Yes, I doubt it's not going to work. So I need to find some sort of good cardio routine for home. That's not really quite worked out yet. And then I would say the other thing is that recently in my life, a lot of people that I know and love have cancer. Mm. And so I really want to take this time. No, it's very sad. And I really want to analyze my life as far as what sort of toxins I'm taking into my body. And that's something I really don't feel like I have a good handle on, about what products do I use for my physical self, in my makeup, that my son uses, what kind of cleaning products we use. So that's something that I'd really like to get a handle on this year, that I have a better understanding of what chemicals sort of surround me. Since so few cancers are actually hereditary, I'd like to try to, there's a strong possibility that some of the cancers that I'm thinking about are hereditary, that have touched people that I love, but I also think that I can do my part to try to limit my chemical consumption. So those are sort of two big self-care for things for me. Cardio, got to do it, and really reducing my chemical intake.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't heard anybody mention that, but it makes a lot of sense. I've heard it in general, but not with regard to better self-care and that question. Have you heard of Melaleuca?
I have.
I have a friend who's a rep for their product, so they do a lot of natural things. Be happy to make an introduction if you like. And with regard to the cardio, one thing that I'm fortunate enough to have a functional-ish gym in my building. The equipment's old, but it's working. But because sometimes I want to multitask and get work done at my computer, I have a standing desk, so that helps. It even just helps energy being standing. And then I have a little mini stepper and a mini elliptical too, so that I can actually be doing some things while I'm using those. So I find those really helpful because you could get a workout in without really even technically working out.
That's nice. I've not heard of mini ellipticals. I'll have to Google that when we are done.
Yeah, you can find them on Amazon. The only thing is, I guess you kind of get what you pay for. So after a while, it tends to squeak a little. So I have to WD-40 it a lot, but I don't know how your neighbors would feel about that. Another thing I think would be so much fun for cardio is one of those trampolines, like just a little indoor trampoline. My friends got one for their kids, and I'm thinking, I want to do that. That sounds so fun. So it might be something else.
One of my good friends has a trampoline that she loves, and that's like her morning routine. Is, you know, she gets to do her lemon water and her trampoline. She's like totally set. I have a feeling my neighbors will not like trampoline, but, you know, I could use it in the stairwell just every morning, go and hop on the trampoline. I can't even begin to tell you, with a baby and a dog, the embarrassing things that have happened in the stairwell already are like, trampolining would not be the scariest thing they've seen me do. So it would totally work.
I wonder, I don't know how much noise those things make, because, I mean, you're not jumping directly on the floor, right? You're jumping on the suspended.
Yeah. But I would imagine, because they're smaller, not that physics was ever my strong suit, but I feel like because they're smaller, like, I feel like the legs would have a little bit of give to them. But
I feel like this is something we need to Google.
Yes. Or practice with wine. That might be very fun.
Carefully. Yes. Do not try this at home, ladies. We are not held responsible. This is for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah.
Cheers.
We are experts here. Yes, cheers.
Cool. What's something that used to stress you out that you worked through, and how did you overcome it?
Okay. Totally recovering type A, perfectionist here. Always felt like I had to have a plan, and I had to go according to plan. And the thing that totally knocked my head about that was having a kid.
A baby? Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of crunchy and like a little bit of an elitist and, you know, highly educated, whatever, and did all my research about having a baby and the kind of labor plan and blah, 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 whatever. And man, that kid just did what he wanted to do. I was in labor for 41 hours. He was wrapped in his umbilical cord. He was punching his little fist out, so I had to push out his head and his fist. That was not fun. It did not go at all the way I thought it was going to go. It was so long and so difficult and so painful. And then he, immediately he like wouldn't latch, and he was just a pain in the ass about all that stuff. And I had to go back to work at 6 weeks, and I was like, he's not doing anything he's supposed to do. I'm not doing anything I'm supposed to do. This is all like gone to hell in a handbasket. And, I had like my one diva breakdown moment with my husband where I was like, we're not going to have it all figured out by the time I just go back to work and whatever. And then I was like, this is just what it is. Like, this is what it is. You just can't plan everything, and it's not all going to go the way you want, but it's still going to be great. You know, I didn't have the labor experience that I wanted, but my son is alive, and he is healthy, and he is in great shape, and, he gained weight, and he is a baby giant, even though he wouldn't eat, correctly right away. But all of that sort of like in quick succession, like nothing happens the way you want it to happen, and you prepared so much and nobody cares and it doesn't matter. It really, really helped. And
it's just like you have to surrender, right? There's no other option.
That is the perfect word for it. Thank you. I love that. Like you either you go crazy or you surrender. And I totally just said, okay, this is what it is. He ended up not latching. I had to exclusively pump, go back to work in 6 weeks, no sleep. I had to eat. I can't tell you how much this kid ate so much food. I had to eat so much food to make enough milk for him. I was like freaking Brad Pitt in Ocean's 11. I was like, I'm going to eat that. I'm going to eat that. I need like 6 scoops of protein powder in this milkshake. Like, I ate so much food, and that's what I had to do. Like, I was always eating. And
that kind of sounds like my dream come true, that part.
It is like kind of nice, I'm not going to lie, but I just had to give in. I just had to say, like, this is my life, and I just need to get through it. And I did. I'm like, whoa, and I can't believe that I survived all that. But, and I know like it was really hard, but there's women that go through so much worse.
Or go through it alone, right?
Oh, yes, because my husband is really, I mean, he can be a pain in my butt, but he's also an angel in thousands and thousands of ways. And so that really, for me, just like that whole experience, I am so chill now. Like, it's okay. You know, my son breaks stuff. I'm like, it's fine. You know, it just is what it is. We won't have nice things for like 18 years. And we're okay with that.
Yeah, I feel like you have to, if you have pets or kids, that's kind of how you have to be, especially furniture, right?
Yes. Look at my little punks around here. Absolutely. And I do think it helps give you sort of a Buddhist-like attitude to possessions, that you can just kind of let them go, which is very, very useful. But I definitely think that I was too type A, too perfectionist, and that just like knocked me in the head. And I'm a better person for it.
Better person for being knocked in the head. Cristen Downs. On that. All right. Let's talk about creativity. How do you cultivate it? Well, first of all, what does it mean to you?
I think I would say creativity is the ability to not let your mind limit itself. In whatever possible way it is. You could be creative about cleaning out your closet. But too often we're like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. I'm going to put myself in this tiny little box. And that is what we strive not to do. Think about how can you stop limiting, whether it's a belief, whether it's a thought process, whether it's a solution. Those are, I think, the barriers to creativity. And that's that's like my favorite thing, is to be creative in all aspects of my life.
So how do you work to nurture that in your life?
I think that there's a lot of different ways that I personally do it. So one, and this is probably the biggest thing for me, it's story. I love, love, love stories. I love stories through music. A song that tells a story. I love plays. I love musicals. I love theater, dance pieces. I love really excellent Netflix or Hulu shows that just tell a fabulous story. Right now I'm into Man in the High Castle season 2, which I just love. But for me, it's a really, really, really great story. And that, seeing how someone else brings that to life, really helps me get in touch with my own creativity. And I think that that's the single best way, is in essence, seeing someone else be creative helps me get in touch with my own creativity.
That's cool. Yeah. Stories. I mean, some of the things you said, for instance, dance and plays, in one sense, it's really about playing, right? At least for me, that's what I'm really finding is helping me get through harder times, is really like deliberately playing, deliberately dancing, deliberately coloring in my adult coloring books. And just like, trying to let go and play more. I think that's important for women who feel like they have to do it all. And, I have to be successful and I have to be an awesome mom. And it's like, okay, but when are you gonna just play? You know, I think that helps stoke creativity too. I mean, kids play all the time and they're using their imagination, right?
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, it's important for me as, you know, a recovering type A sort of person that I play with my son. And so I might be like, we're late. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to do that. But if he wants to play, I always try to let him do that. And I try to, you know, if we're walking to the supermarket and he wants to stop and look at something, I try to say like, okay, let's have this moment. Let's look at whatever this thing is. And one of my friends who's a parenting expert, parenting coach, she always says, it's going to take the same amount of time for you to convince your kid to stop doing whatever they're doing as it would be if you just engaged and enjoyed that moment with them. So why not enjoy that moment? And so the other day, I think I was cooking. I don't cook a lot, so it's like, might have been a little while ago. But Michael Jackson came on Pandora, and my son he just ran into the room from the other room and started doing his little kid dance, which is kind of like his arms come up and he does a plie type thing. It's adorable. He just loved this Michael Jackson song. And I don't know if he's ever heard it before. I don't think he has. The spirit moved him. And I'm like, all right, we're going to dance right now. And that's what we're going to do. And that happens, and I say, okay, I can let this thing be. I don't need to cut this vegetable right now because we're going to jam to Michael Jackson a little bit. And so I tried to let him teach me to have those moments. But I totally agree. Play, I color. I have a coloring book that I keep in my backpack. So when, stuff goes downhill at work, I can just pull out my coloring book, color while I'm on a conference call or whatever. It's super, super useful. And I love listening to music. And, if I really need to jam out at work, I do that. And I find that that's when my head really can kind of problem solve is when I'm in that space because I can think creatively.
Right. And sometimes it's like, it's almost shutting the conscious mind off, right? Which kind of allows the subconscious to do its little simmer and processing in the background. And then suddenly something will come to you and it's like, oh, why did I not see that to begin with? And sometimes you just got to give the brain a rest or give it some play. And I think that'll stoke the creative fire. Well, we talked a lot about women and the awesomeness of women. On the topic of sisterhood, first of all, do you have any sisters, any blood relation sisters?
I do. I have an older and a younger. I am the middle.
And are you close to them?
Oh, absolutely. We started a Facebook message probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it's never stopped. And we talk to each other every single day, and they're both delightful, and I love them, and I love having sisters. And I do not really understand boys, which is why it's funny that I had one. And I'm like, what do I do with you? But I love having sisters. Super fabulous. And, very, very early on when we were like super tiny, we made up, who was going to be whose maid of honor, and
cute.
Got all that worked out, at age 9 or whatever. And they're great. They're great. They're fun to fight with. They're fun to play with. And they are, absolutely, if I ever tell them that someone was mean to me, they're both like, all right, where are we going?
And where do they live? Are they close at all?
My little sister is in New Jersey, and my older sister is in Pennsylvania outside Philadelphia. So I can see them just a train ride away.
Yeah, I mean, they're at least good for the weekend, right?
Absolutely. And then because my dad is sick right now, they see my face all the time, which is nice.
That is one of the, I guess, silver linings of dealing with something kind of hard because the family comes together, right? Well, let's talk about something happier than that. What sound do you love? What sound relaxes you?
Oh, the ocean.
Me too. Do you have any advice? I'm just going to bounce all over here now, going with the dancing thing. Any sort of parting words for women? And as well, I'm not sure if you have any sort of a giveaway that you might like to give women to stoke something creative or whatnot. Is there something that you might be able to give our ladies?
Sure. Well, okay. I'll say I got 2 things. So one, on my website on The Notable Woman, I have this wonderful audio. It's less than 4 minutes, and it's all based on research about a lot of the problems that women have, which is that they generally attribute bad things to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if something bad happens to a man, he typically says, it's that person's fault, it's this person's fault, it's this thing, or whatever. They can sort of treat life like a science experiment. Whereas women, if something bad happens, they're like, it's me, I'm terrible, everything, me. No. Sometimes it might be you, but usually it's not. Usually it's the thing is hard or the bad thing happened or whatever. And I have this conversation, I would say almost 3 or 4 times a week, where someone does something and they say, clearly I'm not cut out, for this life because blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, calm down. Like, it's not like you're totally judging yourself based on this one tiny little bad thing that happened. You're great. This thing went wrong. That's okay. And so this audio is all designed around the fact that women need to cleanse their thoughts, essentially. They need to create good new thoughts, and that's going to help them judge themselves better. And when you judge yourself better, your actions are going to reflect that new reality. So this short 4-minute audio is all designed around the fact that you can change your thoughts, and that is going to change your life because it's going to change what you do. And so I'd love to give that away. And then also I have a special talk that I gave on this very subject that I would love to give away as an audio download if your audience would like that.
That sounds fabulous.
Yay.
Do you have, I was going to ask you the parting thoughts question, but do you have anything that you want to share with me that I didn't ask you? Or any questions for me specifically?
What's your favorite book?
I feel like we talked about this on Facebook. I tend to read a lot of personal development and business books, but let's see. I really liked Pretty Women. I read that twice. I really, really loved the Fried Green Tomatoes book. That was amazing, and I love the movie, so that was great. I just joined a book club, so they read fiction, so I feel like that'll be good for me since it'll force me to get back into some imaginative reading.
Nice. What's your favorite biz personal development book?
So my favorite sort of starter book is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and it's not the world's best book, which he would even admit, although it is a bestseller, but it completely changed my entire mindset about money and how money is made, and the fact that I can actually, as a artsy, theater-y, creative person, make money. A lot of it is real estate related and real estate investing, but it's not just about real estate. So if anybody has not heard of that book, I would totally recommend that one because, it actually changed the course of my life. I had zero interest in real estate before I read that book, and then that book just lit my fire, and I became a real estate investor. So, yeah. That's
awesome. I love knowing what people's favorite books are.
What is your favorite book?
Okay. My favorite all-time favorite book is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. It's so epic and moving. I'm a big John Steinbeck fan. If I ever get to get my second rescue dog, which I hope to get someday soon, this dog's name will be Steinbeck. Whether it's a boy or a girl, that will be the dog's name.
It could be Steinbecky if it's a girl.
That's good. I like that. Thank you. So yeah, I love his book, The Winter of Our Discontent. I'm a big Steinbeck fan. I love Anna Quinlan. I love Jodi Picoult. I love Alice Hoffman. So a lot of women writers are obviously my jam. And I'm a big Victorian fiction fan. I really love that sort of epic Gothic novel. And so I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan. Super huge. Love Sherlock Holmes. Love Arthur Conan Doyle's books. And love, obviously, BBC's Sherlock. And yeah, I think that's probably, like, I verbal vomited a little bit there, but definitely.
That's good, though. That gives people lots of options.
Yes. If you want to talk books, please find me. I had a friend the other day said, okay, Cristin, I'm looking for, this type of book, and go. And I was like, I gave her like 30 suggestions, and she was like, thank you very much. You can just like be my librarian. So books, I love books.
That's cool. One thing I love about books. Well, I love old bookstores. I love the smell of old books. I feel like it's an adventure and a discovery, and there's not a lot of them anymore, at least where I live. But oh my God, as a kid too, I used to spend hours in bookstores. My parents could drop me off, and I would just love hanging around there. So I guess that probably means I should read more fiction. And what else was I thinking? I don't know. I totally lost my train of thought. Have another sip of wine.
There you go. I'm done, sadly. But I love that. That's why I love to read, because my mom would take us to the library all the time, and we would get to pick out our books, 2 or 3 or whatever once a week. And I don't think reading came very easily to me. I remember, really struggling to be able to start reading by myself. And then once I could, it's just been, nonstop. So now I read 52 books a year. That's been my goal for the past couple of years, since I graduated from grad school. Because obviously when you're in school, you just have to lots of required reading.
Right.
But now it's a delight, and I love it. And I've really been incorporating business and personal development books in the past, 2 or 3 years, and that's been really, really useful as well.
Cool. The most recent personal development book I read, I believe this was the most recent, was The One Thing by Gary Keller.
I love The One Thing.
Yeah. And he also has another great book that was another huge impact in my real estate life, and that's The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. And one of the reasons I love that book so much is, well, one, he breaks things down really well, but the back of the book has these profiles of real life millionaire real estate investors. They do so many different things. Like it really helps you think like, oh wow, there's actually a lot of creativity in real estate. Somebody might specialize in rentals, like luxury vacation rentals or corporate rentals, while another person specializes in low income. Or, there's so many different avenues you can go to. Right now I'm looking to purchase a mobile home park, so that's a whole other thing. So wow, that's a whole other conversation probably. But yeah, so I love that. I love Gary Keller books, I guess, because those are the only 2 I've read, but I've enjoyed them both.
Yeah, I do. I have been doing the One Thing downloads, off the website, where you can really focus in on one thing and give you like a framework. So that's been super useful.
I didn't even remember or realize that those existed. So cool tip for me.
I don't remember them from when I read the book either, but my AD just read it, and she was the one she told me about it, and I said, oh, I totally don't remember that in the book I read, so I only found it because she made me go look at it.
Cool. Now, for people who don't know, who's your AD? What's an AD?
An AD can in all types of there are different ways, but my AD is she's my assistant director at PACE, and there's also, obviously, you could be an associate director and still be an AD, and we're
an artistic director.
You can be an artistic director. You can also be an assistant director to a show director, and you could be an assistant director on a film or a theater.
That's actually what I thought you were referring to at first, was like a show. So I was going to ask you what show you were on right now. But wait a minute. I recall somewhere hearing that you have a theater company too. Is that accurate?
I did. I have not done a lot of theater work basically since we decided we were going to have a tiny human. Yes, it took a lot of time. So I have done, obviously the kind of plays that interest me are usually women's plays. I do like classical plays as well. And like most things, I like to do things in ways that people don't expect. So women's plays, I really like Mary Zimmerman. I love every play that she has ever written. I think she's so fabulous. Metamorphoses, I directed, which I just love because I love literature. I love Greek mythology. I love theater. I love physical theater. I love movement. So putting that all together in one play is basically just, it's my heart. It's so good. And then I did Lynn Alvarez's play, The Reincarnation of Jamie Brown, which I love tremendously. And I've done a lot of Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet and Twelfth Night. And then
you acted in Shakespeare?
I am actually a terrible actor. Very happy and proud to admit that.
I doubt that. But Shakespeare is a whole different animal, so.
It is. My husband is a very, very, very talented classical actor and a very talented comedian. And so a lot of times we do work that showcases either of those for him. Sometimes both. In the case of Twelfth Night, he was Malvolio. So very, very fun classical comedic role. And so, yeah, I also have, I've produced a lot of dance. I really like dance. I started as a dancer many, many years ago. And, danced on point and, did some other interesting things like I did a lot of acrobatics and a lot of, modern dance, jazz, tap, all that kind of stuff. But now as an adult, I like dance. And as a producer, dance is fun because it doesn't require a whole lot. Like if you have a great space with a good floor and great lighting, then you can put on a great dance piece. But then you have to find a great dance piece, and that is always exciting. And New York City is just full of some of the most talented artists in the world, and so it's very easy to find excellent work to produce. And so that's been very fun as well. And as a professional, I enjoy dance because of the nuance and the complexity, and you can really get into it in a way that's really exciting. And if you have not seen a really excellent dance piece, I definitely think that you should look for your local dance company and get out there, anyone who is watching us, because it will really move you and change you in a way that surprises you.
I think so too. Tell me about acrobatics, because I used to do acrobatics.
So I'm double jointed. And so I can do like lots of strange party tricks if we ever end up at a party together. And so that's basically what I did. I was never particularly good at like I could do some of the basic like flips and jumps and stuff like that, but I was much better at the like strange bendy type stuff. The
contortion, basically.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. One of the things that I love so much, it's very close to my heart and makes my heart very happy, which is difficult because injuries and body stubbornness have made me not able to do it so much, is aerial silks.
Oh, really?
It's just the best thing in the whole wide world. And when I do it, everything else goes away. So it's really, I always say it's the hardest fun thing I've ever done.
That's totally on my vision board. I look at it every day because I really, really, really want to do aerial silks.
Okay, you have to go. There's a school in New York that I really would love to go to, but that's a long trek for me in California. So look up Sassy Pants Aerial Arts, Laura Whitwer.
I can remember that name, and I can't remember any name. Yeah. But having sassy pants myself, I can totally remember that.
Yeah. So check them out because they do. She does training, and she also performs and has a performance troupe, and does a variety of things. They do corporate events and things as well. So she's really cool. And if you go, you'll have to tell her I sent you. She probably won't know who I am, but that's okay.
She will love it. I'm sure she'll love that someone was sent by someone else. She will.
All right. Any parting words? Any amazing words of wisdom or random thoughts of interestingness that you would like to share?
I think my parting words are, whoever you are, listening, watching, you are awesome. You are fabulous. just as you are.
Yay. Those are good parting words. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today and letting me turn the tables on you. Look, I even have a heart on my shirt. Can you see? Right there.
I love it. It's fabulous.
So let's do it again sometime.
Definitely. I'm so thankful that you asked me, and it's been fabulous, and we'll definitely do it again. And I'll probably have it like a bottle of wine next time.
Cool. All right. Well, cheers to that.
Yay!
Have a great time with your girlfriends while you have the free time. Have fun.
Thanks, lady.